Welcome to this live stream from World of Wisdom and Spiritual Adventure. I'm Northern Deer, and I'm back with a live stream here on the social media. Today we have this topic. I want to talk to you about how to stop living on autopilot. I will read you a question from one of our followers in WhatsApp who had this question, which made me to make this live stream. Okay, so the question was like this, the comment. You say the most dangerous enemy is doubt. This was referring on a post that I did about doubt. But I believe I have found the most dangerous enemy of all, loss of control. When someone close knows exactly what to say to set you off, when you are having another bad day and you find yourself with a spoon and an empty tub of ice cream in your hands, so it means you ate a lot to feel better. Or worse, you've made decisions just because you need to prove yourself against someone more powerful. Decisions you know are hurting your life. The worst part is that I noticed I don't have enough consciousness to be able to realize what's going on in real time, to react to my loss of control or overpower these situations. I am on autopilot and is absolutely chilling, hands down the scariest experience of my life. To see myself respond without control. Please talk to us about this, thank you. So he's referring to the situation that we become somehow reactive in life. Suddenly, something is going wrongly in our life, and we find ourselves panicking or reacting or losing the control. Exactly this means living in autopilot, because first of all, we need to understand what living in autopilot means, how we can understand that we are living in autopilot. What is the definition? There is no definition except the obvious meaning of this expression. But in reality, we know that we are living in autopilot when something goes in a way in our life that was unexpected. So we need to act or react in a different way than we are used to. Because when we are in autopilot, we can be in autopilot when everything is the same and we can act out of memory, not out of presence, not out of consciousness. We are not needed. For example, you can be walking to go somewhere and you know the path and you can go, blindfolded. Let's say you are going to your job or you are going to the same park all your life. So you can do this in autopilot, think lost in your thoughts and so on. But if something unexpected happened, if it was to be abducted and be put in another place suddenly, you would be like, suddenly you would awake. Of course, you cannot be abducted suddenly from aliens, but life does this to us. Yes, when something sets us off course suddenly. Because when, autopilot, for example, in an airplane, we know autopilot from the airplane. The airplane, the pilot puts the airplane in autopilot. He puts the destination or the coordinates, and the computer automatically flies the airplane to a certain direction. But if the pilot needs to change suddenly the direction, he needs to disengage autopilot, because autopilot is mechanical and it is set on a certain trajectory, a certain path. The same is if our life is repetitive and we do the same and the same, not only externally but also psychologically, the same conversations, the same relationships, the same routines, also externally the same habits, more and more we can and we will, if we are not aware, end up living in autopilot. And because of this method, when something, he gave some examples, somebody suddenly comes and starts manipulating you or playing with your weaknesses, and suddenly you start reacting, or you have a bad day and suddenly you lose the control. He spoke about losing control. Suddenly we realize that because of some situation that pushed us out of the ordinary, when everything goes normal, well, we don't have any issues. When some issues appear, we are pushed out of the habitual way and we find ourselves panicked or reactive. We don't know what to do suddenly. Okay. In this moment is the first awakening from autopilot. If nothing happens, you can keep going in autopilot, but there is a spiritual knowledge from shamanism that says that your path is not meant to be lived in autopilot. We are not coming here to live in autopilot. Of course, this doesn't make any sense. Why existence to exist for this purpose? There is no purpose in autopilot except to live more mechanically. There is no purpose in autopilot. Purpose is in awareness, in being aware of what is your life, who are you, and what is happening to you. So how to stop living on autopilot? So based on this question and this message, we can see that the first problem is that we are unprepared when things change. This is the first clue that we are living in autopilot and how to change this. So something changed, suddenly you realize that you don't know what to do, you go out of autopilot, and then if you think then only, what can I do? The answer is you cannot do anything because you are not prepared. Okay, you need to prepare before that. That's the solution. You need to prepare yourself and put yourself before going out of autopilot from life, from some situation. You need to prepare yourself and work with yourself in such a way that you will not allow yourself to enter in autopilot. If something does happen to you and takes you out of the autopilot life, and you realize that you are living, or you were living, or you are living all your life in autopilot, and now you don't know what to do, simply this is a sign for what you have to do from now on. In this moment, usually you will start reacting. You cannot simply through an easy trick change this, right? If you were unprepared, it means you were unprepared, but it does mean that you have to remain unprepared for the future. Okay, so this person very well realizes what is happening, but now in order to change this, you need to put yourself in a fly mode, in a trajectory which is not autopilot for the rest of your life. And how you can do that, how we can avoid life to suck us back in autopilot, because this happens automatically also. We don't want to be in autopilot, but the repetitive rhythms of life and the habitual ways and the way that society pushes us to live helps us to enter again in autopilot, in a sleeping, automatic, mechanical, repetitive flow. The first thing you have to do is in order to work with yourself properly and keep yourself out of autopilot, is to see what problems you have, permanent problems or general problems in your life, and start working with them. Let's say somebody may have an issue with his health. He's not very healthy, he's not very fit, he's fat, he's out of shape completely, he start having often sicknesses, I don't know, the body is not in good condition. This, you have to work with this. So this could be a problem. If this is your problem, physical, let's say, you have to work changing your body, because your body decays out of the autopilot living. And the fact that your body shows these bad signs is the fact of autopilot. Your body decays, right? So you need to work with these issues if this would be the case. Okay, and by working to fix your fitness and your health and so on, you will have to keep yourself against this power that forces us to be asleep, autopilot, like the gravity of life, the mechanicalness of life. If you see that you have in your life other problems, for example, you cannot be, when you relate with people, when you meet people, you cannot be yourself. You start, you have issues in relating with people. You start behaving, out of personalities and fake personalities, and you are not yourself, and you have complexes in your communication and so on. You know that if it is something like is a general permanent trait of yourself, you need to work with this and learn to express yourself more consciously, more willingly, and with more uh, easy way, like with more ease. Yes. So you have to work with this. By doing this, you will force yourself out of the ordinary, because the ordinary is for you to avoid communication. In this case, usually people avoid communication, and when it happens, you are reactive again, shocked, and the complexes come out. So if this is the case, you will know that. Another situation, if for example your problem is that you cannot free yourself financially, because you don't have enough confidence in yourself, because you are stressed to show yourself in the world and do something better, to make more money, to create a business, to do something in the world, to become more powerful in the world, and you know that you feel a little bit secondary. You admire other people, for example, who are successful and do great things, and they are winning at life, and you feel that you cannot do that. You have lower self-esteem. You have to work with this, and by trying to go against this lower self-esteem and lack of confidence, you will provoke yourself to not be asleep, because you cannot develop your confidence and also be in autopilot. If your problem is that you are hurt easily from close relationships, you have some wounds in your heart, and your close people easily hurt you, you have to work to clean your traumas. Usually there are childhood traumas or other kind of traumas that you may have. You are very sensitive, maybe emotionally, in the deeper level. You have to work with this to accept yourself more, who you are, and to not be hurt easily and so on. By working with yourself in this sense, you will keep yourself out of autopilot, because you cannot do this kind of work and remain in autopilot. If you don't have creative ideas, if your mind is in autopilot and you repeat the same and the same patterns, you need to start doing something different in your life, create a new path for you, and so on and so forth. In few words, you need to see if in your life you have some permanent qualities or situations or aspects of your life that are not optimal, that are problematic for you, that create for you stress, or they are difficult for you, and you need to work with them. This will ensure that one big part of you will be consciously working to improve, and this will prevent you from living in autopilot. Another thing, another key, is how much energy you have. You need always to try to have more energy. For example, usually the energy that we have for every day depends on few factors. For example, if we are fit, if we exercise, if we are more active physically, we will have more energy. If your life is more sitting all day in chairs or in the couch, and you don't have a lot of activity physical, you need to do something to be more physically active. Your nutrition, if for example your nutrition is based on junk food or food with low nutritional level qualities and value, you need to change your nutrition. If you eat also more than your body can absorb and create energy, and then eating tires you, it means you eat more than you need out of habit, of course. Also, this lowers your energy, and generally, when we have lower energy, we start becoming more sleepy. With less energy, we are like a toy that it has battery or a flashlight or a headlamp with a battery 10% left, and the light is diminished, yes, and it doesn't function well. So if your battery, your energy is low, you will not function well, and then you will succumb to autopilot living because autopilot needs less energy. Understand? If you have a lot of energy, you cannot live mechanically because the energy wants to act more consciously. Another thing is to create things. You cannot create things in autopilot. Autopilot needs the past, needs the repetition, needs the habit. Okay, if you live a habitual life, all your life is the same patterns, then this can put you into sleep in autopilot because it's repetitive. You, in the beginning, for example, you need to be present. Let's say when we are learning to drive the car, in the beginning, in the first period, we are more present. We cannot drive mechanically because we are trying to learn it. It's not possible to be mechanical in the beginning. But when it becomes a habit and you drive easily, you enter in autopilot and you can drive many years later and being absent-minded. Many drivers have these moments while driving to lose themselves and find themselves later after 5 or 10 minutes. Even I have people told me that they were driving for 1 hour without realizing that they are driving, and they woke up when they arrived somewhere. They were lost in some kind of dream, and their body, with some external reflexes, it was driving mechanically because they were driving the same road that they're driving every day, for example. So when we are creating something new in our life, when we try to create something new, this will help us also go out of the autopilot. This can be new projects, and of course somebody would ask, so I have to change everything all the time. How my life will be stable? What? Let's say my life is based on the job I have, my partner, my house, my car, and my everyday like basic dealings. How to change all this? I should change every year: job, partner, house, car. What to change? Not necessarily, because this is also a change in the same level. It's a mechanical change, like it can become like another mechanism, but you need to be creative. This means, yes, creative. And if your life doesn't give you any chance to be creative in any way because it's a routine, this you need to change it somehow. You can do something different. You can bring some element, for example, spirituality can be something like that, personal development can be something like that, some kind of challenge to you. Or yes, you can change some aspect externally. For example, maybe you don't change your job, but you decide to go. Let's say if your job is you are working in a company, you can change the fact of how you approach your work. For example, maybe until now you approach your work only for survival and stability, but now you may change an element. For example, I will try to grow hierarchically in this company. Let's change this as a practice to create a new kind of attitude in my company. I will put a goal to grow in places, or maybe to change the job, or to start a side business, or to start a hobby, something, right? And if you do something creative, something new, you bring new elements in your life often, relatively often, this will keep you more present and you cannot fall in autopilot. And the last thing I want to tell you is the spiritual path itself. If you will decide and enter in a process or a path of self-growth, this by definition, any path of real path of self-growth is based on helping you go out of autopilot, on mechanicalness, out of mechanicalness. Okay, because any real path of self-growth needs you to be more aware of yourself. You need to be more present to feel yourself more clearly so that you understand yourself, and this will help you. So I give you 4 strategies. Work with the problems that you already have. Try to be more active, to have more energy every day. Bring some creative element in your life and engage in a path of personal development. If you don't do any of this, chances are that you will live in autopilot and life will be taking you out of autopilot by some problems, like the message of my friend who was asking to talk about this. And then when suddenly you realize you don't have control, because you never try to acquire control, what you will do? You will cry, you will panic, you will start accusing somebody, but the solution is not there. And you cannot expect life to never take you out of autopilot and everything to go mechanically well externally, because life is a dynamic process and you need to be alive, aware, present in order to. Life is like many philosophers have spoken this. Life is like riding the waves with like a surfer that rides the waves. Can you sleep on the surfing board and ride mechanically the waves? No, it is something very intense, and the waves always come from different positions, and you need to be very present, very focused. If you want to learn all this, I invite you in our school, in the 𝗓𝗚 Academy, to become a member of our 𝗓𝗚 Academy, because we study and we talk about this every single day. We have an online academy, and we practice and talk after every practice a bit, where people can put their questions from their everyday life, what is happening, and receive knowledge. And there is knowledge. I have knowledge to share with you, on how to actually live not mechanically, to go out of autopilot and achieve self-realization. That's my role as a teacher, and this is what I'm doing. I will put in the description of this video, after we finish, in Facebook and on YouTube, they are posted these videos about 𝗓𝗚 Academy. I expect you in my school to study all this. Otherwise, you can watch videos also from the social media, and I will remind you through these videos to not live mechanically. But if you want really to master your life, the best thing to do is to take it seriously and master it, study. If you want to study, you are very welcome in our school, because this is what we do. This is my role as a teacher. Thank you for being here. This is what I want to speak to you about. And try to not live in autopilot, because you will be shocked every time that life takes you out. Okay. Also, I'm using a new tool here to go live in multiple places simultaneously. If something went wrong, please forgive me. It's the first time I use this Restream platform. Okay, we'll talk soon, the next week. Also, if you have any questions, you can like this, and you want to answer in the next live stream your questions, you can send your questions in the WhatsApp group that we have of the WOW Academy, which is an open community for everybody. Also, you get teachings there and discounts from retreats from time to time and so on. So I will put also the link for our WhatsApp group to come there. And there in WhatsApp, you can write every Friday until Saturday. We have open the chat, so you can write your own questions, what interests you there. I will see you the next week. Bye-bye.